How's it going, guys? Down there coming to you from South Trend Pinku style. Meaning to shoot this video for a little bit. Don't want to bank on the internet being around forever or some sites and everything. So I'm a modern OG guy. I'm 42 years old. Started doing this stuff when I was like around about 18 or 17 or something like that, right? So 42, we've been here for a while. All right, so I'm sound like an old guy a little bit. Look a little bit young because I actually had a shaving incident this morning. Ended up having to shave up my mustache and everything, so look a little young, a little younger maybe. All right, so you guys that are in my age range, your 40s and up, 38s, I'm gonna say like maybe 37-year-old guys, you remember forums and everything, right? So back then, before Instagram, before MySpace, before YouTube, before all of this stuff, right? We had Street Fire, we had E-Bomb and stuff like that, right? And we had like little message boards. And we had Chilton manuals. You know, we had to go in the store and look at the pages and stuff like that. We didn't have a lot of stuff there, right? So all forums are very big. There's a few forums lingering around, but for me personally, I was on a lot of forums, but I haven't been on forums. I haven't posted on a forum since around about when Facebook came out, because when MySpace came out, it was just really quick. So around about 2004, 2005 was when I stopped doing like forum message boards and stuff like that. No, I would actually not take that back. Drifting.com. When I came to Japan, I was doing some stuff like, hey, I'm in Japan, blah, blah, blah. And then that kind of got lame a little bit. That was around 2009, 2010. So maybe the last time I posted on the forum was around about 2010. So those who remember, of course, Zilvia, Club 240 S Chassis. I was a moderator on Club 240 S Chassis. Zilvia was cool for what is it? The classifieds, but I particularly didn't like the atmosphere of Zilvia because this was like starting like the cool guy club. And I back then I didn't have money and I posted my stuff and guys would kind of ridicule you and things like that. And I like to see where those guys are at now and where I'm at right now with my shop and being in Japan and all the cool stuff I've done. Whatever, man, be cool out there. You know what I mean? Your car's cool. You don't gotta be a dickhead, all right? So what I got right here is the Big Game Hit install. So if you guys remember this, I'm Big Game Hit. I'm Big Game Hit, BIGGAMEHIT on all the forums. It came from a I played college, not college, but I played college, but this was high school. And I would make like big game hits, and that's what I would do, like football, lacrosse, and I kind of just dubbed myself that. Nobody called me that. I dubbed myself that. That was my tag. So my first tag online was Wu 36 Chamber. I had to kind of like back away from that because it makes you put you in this box like, yeah, I like Wu-Tang, but I'm not like a diehard like die for them type of guy and stuff like that. So Big Game Hit is what it became. So anyway, right here we got on the screen right here, Big Game Hit installs. I've been running my shop. I've been in the industry for a while now, running my shop officially for 10 years. And with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, look at the write-ups and installs. I'm going to read through all of them. Some of the pictures are going to be gone because the sites that I use were like Image Shack. The pictures that are still are actually pictures from forums that I saved. So the only pictures that are there are from like sites that are still up. So I'm not sure how long it's going to last. This is, again, as you can see, the URL is 240SX Drifter. It's a tripod Lycos site. So back in the day, you can get the free sites and like combine them all together. I think the free ones are like up to like 50 megabytes. And I just had, I think 100 megabytes. And you just combine and combine. So I had about 6 or 8, maybe 6 or 9 different Lycos sites and everything. We're just going to go through this write-up. I'm going to read through the write-ups as I did them back then, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually say what I would do different. So we'll breeze through this. Again, Big Game Hit write-ups installs is still live on there, so maybe some guys have seen it. I put a bunch of like hashtags and stuff down there and like tag words. So it's not a lot. This is stuff I did to the cars I did, and I just started doing write-ups from the actual from the forums and stuff. So I just took all the stuff from the forums, because I kind of was getting tired of forums even back then, and I put all the stuff into a little website here and made it. So we'll start with the clutch install, which is like one of the first meaningful things I actually did there. So clutch install, kicking it off. Actually, the pictures are still up from this, man. So this is wild, man. This is not the Wayback Machine. So yeah, this is what really wild right here. So yeah. So again, this is introducing myself, blah blah blah, Donnie DJ, blah blah blah. All right, so I go through the setup here. You got the stuff you need. I would do all this stuff there. The 27mm sockets, blah blah blah. You need all that stuff there. And again, these are based on me doing the backyard stuff. All right, so we're gonna go through it. So fluid had 7590 GL4. Still, you want to run that old that applies. All right, so step one, again, this is in my dorm room at a college, University of Maryland. That's where you see the bed there. sitting on the floor. All right, so this is a if I can see the picture from the GIF right here or GIF, it's a like a copper mix. All right, so I did this at my buddy Jason's house. It's near University of Maryland. Jacked it up. Frame rails. If you're going to do it on the ground, same locations apply. All right, so go through there, open up the clutch kit, make sure everything's good to go. Unhook your battery. You do that because you don't want the starter to go wild on you. Remove the bell housing, remove all the bolts. Get inside of there, C-clip. You want to drop those out. That's all. Everything is spot on. So I'll do the same thing today. All right, drive shaft bolts. You can, drive shaft bolts. Undo those. Undo the sensors. Lining tool, put it in there so you don't drop the clutch out. Again, see right here, I got a hammer. This hammer, I still have this hammer today. Shout out to Jarvis Hall. And I didn't have an impact back then, so yeah, I used that as a single blow impact to get that off. Hot spots, scoring, cracks, get that stuff out of there. The reason why the bearing fell apart on me, so I had to take that stuff out. All right, so yeah, a lot of dirt, grease, stuff in there. Had some blocks of wood to get the bearing off because I didn't have a press when we were outside. This still applies. Take it off, blah blah blah. And to kind of go back on this bearing, actually, I changed this clutch. I put another clutch in inside of the parking lot, and the bearing exploded. And actually, when I put this bearing in, I actually picked the wrong one up, and that one exploded. So I had to do it again. So I had to take it apart again. It's kind of going down a little bit more. Pressure plate, secure, move on, crisscross direction, tighten drain plug, blah blah blah. Put the stuff back in there. So just kind of going roll through the stuff again. I'm not doing a step by step, but just kind of going. So now I'm gonna go back and see what I would change. All right. So now when I do it at my shop on a lift, I don't actually take the whole drive shaft apart because I'm gonna lift. You can literally just you back out the U joint. Let that relax, and that slides it out. And depending on most cars, you can actually do that. Slides it right out, and you can leave that hung up. Again, I'm not using a hammer anymore because I have impacts. I will say back then I was in a rush when I did this in Jason's drive, so I didn't clean this, but this was unsatisfactory for like what I would do now. This has to be, it seemed like this guy is silver up there at the top of the bell housing. It needs to be silver inside of there. So this is nothing but dirt, grime, grease. You want to get all that stuff out of there and make it a sterile environment. If you don't have a press, you still can do this. It won't damage anything because you're taking that one out. But now you have a press. It's just like so. I used to sometimes put it misaligned and you have to take it back off, and it's just an ass pain. So this is what you do if you don't have a press. But you just go ahead and use a press. It pops right out. The crisscross is the same. And yeah, everything is the same there. So kind of moving on, clutch is pretty self-explanatory, very basic, and it's the same thing applies. I mean, now you get into the other cars, it gets a little bit more difficult. All right, so just kind of moving on. All right, so we go through the turbo wholesale information. That's not really a write-up, is it per se? I'll just go across now, look in there. So no pictures here, unfortunately. So this is not really, this is a write-up, not a how-to. This is just explaining the whole set. So I don't really have to go in there. That's not really a write-up, so it's not really anything good to go on. Welded diff. I wish I had the pictures to show you the horrible welds, but let's see the process of a welded diff. So this is the first drift event there at the Old Dominion Speedway. That's my 240 right there. All right, so I always would put the stuff you're gonna need, the tools, things you're gonna use. Let me see. So I put removal, blah blah blah. Remove the sway bar, remove the bolts. All that's still standards today. As far as welding, because let me get into the welding process. Everything else doesn't really matter because you're taking it out and putting it in. It's the same way. All right. So remove the diff bolts from the diff. Use pry bar with hammer to remove cover. Don't do that. Clean up the inside of the cover, liquid. Clean up the inside of the cover. Apply liquid gasket. I'll get back to that. Let me see, width and large pictures, you can't see that. So weld all corners of the gears, extreme, run 2 layers down a continuous bead all the way around. Again, this is the first one I did, so it was just improper because I blew it actually a little bit after that. So no, that's just the second one I did. This first one blew because I was actually drifting it here. All right, after you get enough, pour the bottle out. So I'm just run through this stuff. So you're gonna weld the diff and things like that. One thing, back then I had 100. It was a 125 Lincoln welder. It's 110, and it really didn't. No, the first one I did was actually like a welder cheaper than that. It was like some 80 amp stuff that got off of eBay. My second welder was a Lincoln 125, and that actually did the job. That was enough to melt it. I did preheat the gears. I made sure all the gear was gone. I put extra bolts in there. I just laid in there and just melted everything together. The first time I put a couple of tacks on, again, I don't have the pictures. I put a couple. Essentially the first one broke because the welder wasn't strong enough. I didn't preheat, and I put tacks on a teeth only, and I didn't weld anything to the carrier. So if you're gonna weld it, just melt everything in there. I've been welding this for a while since I haven't had a diff blow. Just melt everything together. Don't weld it so you weld the actual spline, the stobs, so you can't take them out. But you're gonna weld all the teeth together, melt them, put bolts in there. Most guys make a square plate now. It sits on top of the gears poke through and crown through, and you weld everything together on that plate, and then you tack the plate, weld the plate completely to the carrier, pretty much in a semicircle, because you got the rain gear right there. Unless you're going to take the whole rain gear off, you can't get really inside fully, so you kind of you don't want to bump against the rain gear and make that weak. So yeah, you would do that. So just, and for welded diff, you just cram metal inside of it, just mechanically lock it and then weld it together, and you'll be good to go. So with that, after you do the welding and get everything done, just make sure, because if you're using a flux core, it's going to be a lot of stuff in the bottom, so you want to get all that crap out of there, because one little booger can get inside the teeth and actually knock that stuff off. So you want to get that stuff out of there and just make sure it's clean. Highly recommend 220 volt now. I can't go backwards now. I have MIG welders, TIG welders, high amp. So I mean, I don't have to preheat that much anymore, because I could turn it up to 140, whatever, and literally just melt stuff together. Again, take into account you don't want to get the ring gear, anything on a ring gear, and you don't want to actually weld it so much where you can't get the stobs up, just in case you break an axle or break a stob. You want to be able to push that out, because if you weld too much down, you can actually warp the gears, and then what'll happen, they'll be stuck in, or once you get them out, you won't be able to get the new stobs in, because it'll be warped. So you got to be careful with that. So not too much heat, but enough heat where you literally can see the gears melting together, and you I keep saying tack. You just I do TIG only now, so you just take everything together and make it nice and smooth, and you're just good to go. All right, so just kind of going back on there. Again, unfortunately, the pictures on these have went away, and they're not there anymore. So again, this is all I built this with Lycos, but then I hosted the pictures on Image Shack. So the ones that are still up, I'm not sure where they're at. I can actually let me see. I can go back and see if I can see the image copy image address. Or let me see, image address. Let me see. I just want to actually see where this is coming from. Just kind of curious right there. So it's actually image bucket, Image Shack. What is it? Image Shack? Yeah, image. Yeah, image is like Image Shack or Image Bucket, one of those. So actually, I think what it was, I know what it was. And I'm not gonna do it, but I remember they had you pay because we all use them on the forums. They had you pay for the actual the use of the photos and stuff like that. So I think that's where they at. They just didn't allow it to be on there, so I'm not gonna go past there. So kind of moving on, that I got work to do, so I just kind of want to breeze through this. I can't spend too much time on it. All right, so this is a battery location, and I remember, I kind of remember back as I'm clicking on this. I remember the stuff I did. So battery, I went to West Marine and got a battery box, a dual insulated 14 foot 4 gauge cable. I do not have ABS or HICAS, blah blah blah, so I can drill straight through. You don't see, so there's no pictures and stuff here, but it was a straightforward thing. But actually, what I did with this, this is my first time installing the battery box. Everything was I secured the battery box, I used these big washers, secured it to the side. So it was a 240 on the passenger side, and I essentially, it's known as the driver's side, which it should have been on the opposite side to disperse the weight. So it's on the driver's side, not over top of the actual fuel tank. I secured it to the side, and then I secured it down. That was not safe because I didn't have a tie down inside of the battery box. Which you put a battery box in, you want to make sure you got a tie down going through the chassis, welded or something like that, or coming through the chassis. The battery needs to be bolted down, and the battery box is just covering that up. So the battery box itself is not where your battery sits there and slots around. So I did when I ran it like that. I mean, I had like a big battery in there and stuff like that, and it could have came out. It didn't come out, but that was definitely improperly. So I will say, I mean, I wish I had the pictures there to show you, but I wouldn't do that now. You bolt it down. The battery box is bolted and secured. The actual battery goes through and secure it down. So that was improper when I did that. So that was definitely don't do that. All right. So and this is all back when I was. This was when I was starting, man. This was like when I was really getting into it. This is around about 2008 when I had my team and everything from like 2003 to about 2006 or 5 when I went to college. I did a little bit of stuff with the team after that, but after I went to the military, man, it kind of really fell off. So after 2008, I mean, I had the team and I was like picking up stuff from Earl and Quinn. But I mean, they would give me little tidbits here and there, but I mean, I really learned everything on my own. And, shout out to those guys. I did learn some stuff from them, but the bulk of what I did came from them. So moving on to the BRL limiter, before I even get to it, don't recommend doing it. So there's a video. I'll see if I can play the video here. This is me. This is back in like this is after the install. I'll just start it up and everything. So old school, man. Old school, like 240p stuff. So anyway, not really. I mean, I kind of the diagram is not there. I think I have it somewhere else, but it was pretty much a pin up to pin it in. So not really I mean, you can go in there. I just was showing the pins and stuff like that for the 240. Don't recommend putting BR on any cars now. This is not good, man. And even with the Haltech and the new modern stuff, when people want to do pop and bang, it's two-step. There's a purpose for that, but if you're not using two-step, then you're just messing up your valves. If you don't got ink in all valves and stuff like that, man, you're just slamming your seats and you're just doing a bunch of damage. So don't recommend doing that. I wouldn't do it. All right, chain guide removal. Don't have any pictures here, but it was just a K24 chain guide. If you guys know, chain. This SR20 is the same way. Chain would sit here. Chain guide would be up here. The chain would come across, and as it would move and deflect, it would slap the top of the guide. Put these two groove marks because the TK is a dual chain, and it would just slap that. Also, you would have on the side, the actual side, the one it will be a plastic guide and it will break off. So there's a side guide, and people will remove those. So this was essentially what I was saying. Get rid of it by removing the upper and lower the recall, but it's in TDC. So yeah, it was a recall, but the chain guide was there to keep the chain there. And then also, I mean, so if you got the chain guides removed, then that chain is just on the side is deflecting and the top is deflecting as well. So I did that. And probably, I did put a 1K. I put a hole in the block, and I was just revving the hell out of it. And yeah, so anyway, with those, keep your chain guides are there for a reason. You need to make sure the tensioner is good. So there's a lot of modern stuff there with the tensioners, manual tensioners. So you have oil operated or chain, oil operated assist, or you just actually use the one where you tension it yourself, check the deflection, and you go from there. So SR20s, guys, I recommend doing that because that chain can flap around a bunch. It's just better to set it and then set the tension. It will stress the chain out over time and degrade the life, but you got constant pressure always, no matter what. So we'll take the stuff off there. So it was just standard stuff about RJV and blah blah blah. All that stuff was all everything was good to go. So I'm not going to harp on stuff that it was proper, but don't take the guides off and just go do what you got to do. That's not good. All right, let's see, chain guide removal, clean intercooler. This was not really a wouldn't do it now because intercoolers are so cheap. What happened with this was I blew a turbo, the oil got all in the intercooler, and I called myself trying to clean it out. I put water inside the intercooler, man. I put water in it, shook it up, put the greaser in it, shook it up, and then I let it sit on the side, and I used a shop vac, and I just sucked everything out. I covered one in and poked holes in it so air can go through, but pressurize it, because if you just put the vacuum cleaner in there and press on, it's just going to suck straight through. So essentially, I think I put it there for like 30 minutes. It sucked all the water out. It was bone dry when I got done, but I wouldn't do it today. So no pictures there. I'm glad you can't see any pictures so you can make fun of me. But yeah, I just pretty much was doing some dumb stuff back then, and again, it's not really right up to get into. Oil pressure, oil PSI gauge. Again, no pictures here, but let me go through and see what I actually did. Blah blah blah. Second wire monitoring. So remove the oil filter. All right, so yeah, so now I'm going with this. So I'll just go through this. So essentially, I ran for my first oil pressure gauge. I ran a mechanical gauge, which is back then they were still selling them. They still sell them out there, but don't recommend running oil or fuel into your cabin, man. Trying to keep that oil and fuel in the bay with firewall there. So yeah, I was definitely running a mechanical gauge, oil pressure gauge into my cabin. So as it says right here, remove the filter, a lot of T-hooks, Teflon tape, blah blah blah, go in there, 18 gauge wire, run through there. So you gotta hook up the cluster, washer, insert the ring. So yeah, definitely don't want to do that. Definitely want to do that. So yeah, don't do that. I will say don't run fluids inside of your cabin if you can help it. All right, so moving on, water temp gauge. No pictures here, but let's just kind of go through. Yep, take the hose off, tape the outer diameter, remove the stock temp switch. Don't do that. To make speed this up, I'll kind of say what not to do as I do this, man. So I'm gonna get to it. All right, take the bag of fittings, blah blah blah, find it, and you guys go in there yourself. Upper head dirty hose, tape off, give yourself enough space. Connect the wire sender, follow electrical wire. So yeah, pretty much straight up. One thing I do now when I do install these, actually now the older ones, they would have a one where kind of there would just be a pipe and you would just kind of drill into it, and then what happened, like the hose would kind of not wrap around it, so you make a little U shape and it closes the hose. So yeah, I just always better to cut little amounts first and then go from there, because I remember the first time I did this, I cut it too short. Then I had to like squeeze it, and it was barely fitting on there. It was like the lip for the hose, and it was barely over that thing, man. So it was just not on there. So make sure you cut as little as possible, and then do your test fits, and then go from there, and then you'll be good. But yeah, that was not good. So again, I don't have pictures here for you guys, but unfortunately, I remember as I look at it, I remember everything I did wrong. All right, solid mounts. No pictures here, but essentially don't do this because there's too many options out there. So essentially what I did with the solid mounts, I only had to read through it. I know what I did. Solid mounts, I took the 3M window well. This is an old school trick. And there was different hardness levels. I got the hardest one, and I just pretty much took the mount, taped off the side of it, and then injected it in there, let it sit outside. But it never really fully got hard, man. I mean, I let it sit outside for like 2 days. I think maybe it took like a week or so. So what happened, it never got hard because it never hardened up, and I put it back in the car. And if you're sending vibrations and frequencies through the gel, it's moving. So when it's moving, it has to sit. It's like RTV. You can't put RTV and then go about your, slam it on and start doing stuff. It has to sit, cure, and vulcanize and stuff like that, and then you go from there. So because I put the engine on there, it was vibrating. I remember when I went to go push it, it had this gummy feeling to it. So yeah, that it didn't break out or seep out, but it maybe took off a little bit of like vibration, but it still was there. So I mean, hockey pucks, you could do that. Now they got ISR, polyurethane stuff. It's just way too cheap now to do hacks like that, so don't recommend doing it. Again, there's no need to talk about there. I'm not going to. So let me see, solid mounts, front main seal. So front main seal. Start by loosening up the points, remove the bolts, put what I need right there. ACS to be released, take the radiator and move it up. So I moved it up. I didn't take it out because I was trying to it was then cheap back then. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't want to have the fluid come out, so I just took the radiator and pulled it up to get. So to imagine the crank pulley is right here, radiator is right there. So your impact, you can't get through it. So if you move the radiator up, then you can get through the impact. So I just literally pulled it up enough so I can get an impact on there, and took it off that way. And I was able to get it off. So let me see. Remove the bolt. Spray WD-40 on the center section. Take a pry bar, place it behind a pulley, and pry it towards you a few times. My engines were apart so much, man, that I can work on mine, but do not recommend that. So actually, I didn't realize what I was prying against. You're prying against the oil pump. So when you pry against you're prying against the oil pan and the oil pump. If you pry hard enough, the oil pump's cracked, man. That little job now turns into a big weekend thing where you're doing that. So do not pry anything against the engine at all. Nothing. If it's a little, even a block, you don't want to pry against anything, man. So you use your pulley, crank pulley, put it on there, it pops right off, man. So proper tools, man, will go such a long way and make things easier for you. So use the proper tools. Then I said use a short flat-handed hammer to tap the seal. Yeah, I mean you can get that all pried in with an outward. Put the seal on there, blah blah blah. Take sandpaper lightly, rub against the main seal, blah blah blah. Rest. So yeah, you want to clean everything up. Again, I wish I had pictures there. But you're going to have a drive seal oil kit. Back then I just used a socket that was about the same diameter, but you don't want to do that because the socket is very hard. The seal has a little bit of metal in the front, but it's rubber. So if you take that socket, the socket's not going to give. But if you hit that seal the wrong way, now you put a bend in it, and a lot of guys get a leak. So you want to take a rubber drive seal or a plastic seal kit that has a little bit of give. When you tap on it, it drives it in, it goes in flush, and you're good to go. So definitely do not pry anything, and I will say that right. That's why I want to get on this, because I mean I remember what I did exactly for that. LED cluster, again, no pictures for this, but when I did the cluster, I mean this is LED cluster. You take the cluster, I'll put LEDs in those, LED.com, and then super bright LED. I'm not sure they're still around. I don't want to click on the link, but yeah, you take them out. So what happened when I did all this stuff? My fuel light was on. So back then I didn't know you had to put a resistor in there, because that fuel part of the resistance for the fuel light goes to the actual bulb. So when it goes through there, it's different resistance. So when you put the resistance in there, it's not seeing it anymore. Also for my signals, the signals went crazy because it's not seeing that resistance it needs to see to complete the circuit. So there was stuff in it, so everything flashed really quickly. All my lights were on. So it really wasn't a good deal. It looked cool, but it just wasn't a cool deal. So when you do that, the new LEDs actually have the resistance proper now, so you don't have to do that. But I would have to go through and like put resistors inside the cluster and all this crap, man. And I just took them out and I took the gas one on, put the gas one back in, and so I had the orange amber one with blue lights, and then I had the signals. I put those guys back in because I got tired of those flashing really quickly and everything. So don't do that. Make sure you got the proper LEDs. All right, the white bunny clutch. I think this one has a video attached. Oh, so this has pictures attached. All right, so there's a video out there. Yeah, the video's right there. All right, so this one's the one that's complete. All right, so this was actually so this same clutch that I installed. This is the one I installed in the driveway. The one that's up top right there. You see how it's glazed. The reason why it's glazed is because the actually no. This is a picture from somebody else. This is not mine. My apologies. This is just something from the forum, so this is not my picture. But that one I did install got glazed because I didn't clean it. So, and the rear main seal was leaking as well, and it got oil all over it. And also I just didn't break it in. I went right there at that first night. I had a KT that first night, man. From the guy, I mean, I was just killing it. I glazed it over. So mine actually looked just like that. All right. So the purpose of the white bunny clutch was essentially your let me see. So the white bunny was 240 millimeters. It was from the D21 pickup, as you can see up there. This was from a fresh alloy. Yeah. So the stock is 225. That's 225. The 225 millimeters is like diameter. 240 is just bigger. So as you can imagine, you see right here. This is representative of 225. This is the 240. So it was a poor man trick to give you more clutch disc space to get more grip and stuff like that. But honestly, even if it was 240, and there was like an organic clutch, it wasn't copper mix, it's still gonna break down anyway. So it really was a waste of time. So it was just a bigger thing. We would do all these things to try to make things like a lot more bigger or more beefier. Like one of the most biggest placebos was the Z32 fuel filter. It wasn't that the Z32 filter was big, because it's just filling the space. It was just that the filter was clean. So the old filter was just clogged and old. That's why it seemed like it was a performance boost. The filter itself is going to contain. It's not like that filter is like bogging down something, and the fuel is going to pass through regardless, man. So that was one of the placebos that you can see. You can reasonably know that, because if it was, Nissan would have put a Z32 filter on the Nissan S15. It's the same size, small filter. This is a filter, man. So placebo stuff out there. So essentially with this one, it was a straight. I was still using the hammers and stuff like that. It was a straight deal that you had to cut the dust shield to make space for it. And also it was a known thing, if you didn't cut enough out, it would just grind down. So if I click this video and play it, it was going to show, that sound. You hear the sound a little bit. This is an Andrews Air Force base. And just going around and rev it a few times and then it goes away. So that's the flywheel. Yeah, and then like hit it again. Here you see a spark, and that's it. So back then, running rich as hell, running the SAFC, I had DSM injectors. Like it was a shit show, man. But that's what I did to make everything happen, man. So don't recommend doing that. That was just some, it was $250 total, but you can get, for that same price, you can get a nice clutch these days, man. All right, so going back, don't recommend doing that. All right, let me see. LED cluster, white blunty, KET24 diagnostics. Don't need to click on that. G20 radiator. Not worth it. Was I was just in a crunch and I had a radiator that I just put up from a G20. I didn't do anything special. Rotors, brakes, and studs. Let's see what I did on there. No pictures. See pads. Once you get the pads in place, remove theirs, remove the calipers. Brakes is pretty standard, man. I didn't do anything wrong on there. I will say, only thing I did do it, because I know back then for sure I wasn't doing it. Make sure you have your shims in there. It's not worthy of a write up. I just was like, for some guy who was like brand new, you could go on YouTube and find that stuff out. So back then, grease. Let me see if I did put grease the slide pins. Yeah, I don't see it. So yeah, C clamp, compress. I use a C clamp for a caliper, so I don't see it here. So yeah, so two things you want to do when you're doing brakes. There's grease that comes in most of the kits. The grease is not to put on the damn brakes. Put brake grease on the facings of the brakes. Make sure your rotor thickness is good to go. Rotors can be turned once, never more than once. New rotors are just too cheap to turn them. If you got time, new rotors is the best. Even back in the States, Duralast and stuff like that. So put new rotors on it. Make sure the brakes are good. Make sure you brake, go on YouTube and look how to brake them in. You like heat them up and stuff like that. Because you don't want to go out there and start womping on them and they'll get glazed. And you can actually unglaze them, but you don't want to do that. But slide pins, you want to make sure you grease your slide pins, because the slide pins, the caliper bracket is fixed. The actual caliper part slides back and forth like this. So imagine if you got that slide pin, it's all dry, it's not going to glide and it's going to get stuck. So you want to let when you let off the brakes and hydraulic, you want to let that guy go back and forth and stuff like that. So definitely don't want to do that. Go back. All right, see what we got right there. G20 right, sway bar end links. Let me see how I messed that up. All right, sway bar end links. Again, no pictures. Use a little TV sway bar, 214 mm Richard sway bar under the card. Self-explanatory. See what I didn't do. Install the sway bars. End links. Let me see. Break the bar. I can tell I did something wrong because I didn't in this this was an energy sway bar and I put tools and materials needed. Sway bar end links, 14 mm breaker bar. So there's no grease there. So that's how I know I did that wrong. So when you do your sway bars, you're gonna make sure you put a little bit of grease on the base where the sway bar touches the base. Some sway bar on the top of the sway bar, on top of the bushing, and then inside. Your sway bar moves like this. Imagine like you got riding a bike. The sway bar is just spring and loaded, so it kind of goes back and forth like this. It rolls back and forth. And imagine if you put a rubber on metal, is now you're gripping it and you put it up there, it's tight. That sway bar can't flex, and now you don't have the deflection you need. And the sway bar is just meant for the guys to know it's a spring that goes across, and it's meant to kind of keep the balance of the suspension. So if you don't have a sway bar, now your car is kind of like this. The sway bar keeps it in there and makes everything keeps on in balance. So put that grease in there so it can actually go back and forth. So make sure you put grease on the sway bar, and make sure you go right there. So the bushings are good, and also you change the end links at the same time. All right, tension rods. Tension rods are pretty much these are like non-adjustable. All right, so yeah, these were non-adjustable. So I would definitely recommend those. Tension rod, self-explanatory. I didn't do anything wrong. You take out 3 bolts, 1 bolt from the tension rod rack, 2 bolts from the inside, and put that in there. So the only thing that changes for if you got adjustable arms and stuff like that, and it changes things out. All right, so going out to there, towel 38 millimeters. So the reason why this was actually is kind of cool, man, to look back on it. I was putting all these turbo kits together. I was using like used. The whole set was fine when I finally went to that. That's when I had the longevity. But before that, I was using old used Garrett G31 turbos and blah blah blah, and a bunch of like eBay stuff that fell apart. And this was the first authentic part that I really ever purchased, man. Brand, like, you know, went to the store, bought it straight up. I didn't buy any of the eBay crap. It was a tall 38mm wastegate, and it made that one thing made my setup so much better because it had boost control. Before I was spiking all over the place. I broke diaphragms and stuff like that. So there's some things you can cheap out on today with couplers and stuff like that, but you want to be careful with that. But a wastegate is not something you want to cheap out on for a good turbo application. You got to be able to control your boost, man. So they're just too cheap now to buy, you know, and people still do it. So this is just it's showing an install of a 38mm wastegate, nothing special, 2 bolts to take it out and stuff like that. But I can just say, don't install a fake blow-off valve, fake boost controllers, none of that stuff, man. It's gonna haunt you and it's gonna come back to bite you in the ass, man. Steering wheel, let's just see what I did wrong on here. Yeah, so again, pry bar, breaker bar, Allen keys. So I can tell you right now what I did on here is you don't sit there and, I mean, dude, I remember back, I did this in the lot at Andrews. I was sitting there and I was just, and I punched myself in the face, man. Actually, I'm behind the wheel and I'm trying to bang it like a fucking gorilla, and I'm shimmying it back and forth, man. And I pulled that thing off, hit myself in the face. Just a damn steering wheel puller, man. You just put it on there, clamp around the gear, push three claw, 2 claw, push that thing in, it pops right off, man. That thing is pushed on there is like a kind of a threaded press fitting, so it's actually pressed on. And then, you know, to kind of negate, so let's say your bolt come out, the wheel is still on there. You don't want that bolt to come out and then the wheel pops off on you and you crash into the highway. So if by chance that bolt happened to back out, it's supposed to be a press fitting, so that's why it's hard on there. So got to use that to get it off, man. Don't hurt yourself like that, and make sure it's aligned. I don't have the pictures, but I will tell you, when you put up, make sure your alignment has to be good. And then there's a dot at the top of there, is a dot or arrow, and that needs to go up. That needs to face up, 12 o'clock position. All right. So going to the, again, I wish I had pictures to show some of these. So manual boost controller. So actually, that's cool. So I got, it's kind of cool to have these pictures laying around right there. So this is a legit manual. It was a Turbo Smart manual boost controller. This is the tall 38mm wastegate I installed. And yeah, everything was pretty much self-explanatory. It went like that. Yeah. So yeah, so I can show you. You go out the side right here, goes into the wastegate. Then this guy goes into there. So that was just the boost source and went into there. And then that's how it worked. So yeah, you do. So of course you back it all the way out and you just turn it in a little bit. So I did say right there, don't turn it all the way in before installing, because you're gonna have max boost pressure. So yeah, this is all standard stuff that I would do today. Nothing's changed there. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So yeah, it was kind of cool to see that there. You get to see my kind of hack work with the downpipe there. Yeah, you see my U joint. So yeah, what I did, I had I had a buddy weld a little lip on there. No, this was from another car. I cut it off, and then I used some with the others on it, got a U clamp, and then what you can't see, this is like that little crimp flexi tube, man. So dude, I did some hack shit, man. This is with actually you can see the housing. This is with the whole set turbo, man. So this is when I was starting to really get into like some good boost and reliability, and then short after that I went to the military and stuff like that. So okay, relocate body harness, the pictures up from there. So self-explanatory. This is, everything is same. Get under the fender. This is for drifting, when you guys know that when you lower your car, your harness, so to say, this is the part of the frame, your harness is bolted here. Now your wheel is going to hit that every time you like compress the suspension. So what we would do is take that harness from out there, put it up on zip tied essentially on top of the frame rail. There's a little lip there. It makes your fender harder to put on, because now you have that where your fender comes over the fender. Now there's wire shit up there, so you got to like really push and crunch down. So now we got wired fenders now and stuff like that, so it's a lot easier to do. So it's not really much of a problem. So I didn't do anything wrong there. It's just yeah. So we got that body harness, new knock sensor replacement. No pictures. All right, so let me see what I did here. Manifold. So yeah, it's all standard stuff right there. Yeah, I did. It was a knock sensor installed into the key, which was attached to the block. So I just had to undo the oil filter, take stuff out, move some hoses to the side, and it got to it. So yeah, it was pretty straightforward. Nothing I wouldn't do today. A little bit quicker now because I know what I'm doing. But All right, let me see. I wish I had pictures for this because let me see. This was the, this is C style. So I know I had C style. That's why I had the stuff there. Breaker bar, drill, air, chisel, what I was doing. Place chocks, take the breaker bar. I did all the stuff on the ground too. So move the stuff forward. So let me see. Raise the jack, suffering, go flush against there. Probably remove. Once you remove the 17, take a breaker bar. Move the nuts, drill, wire, name the surface. Yeah, so I did this properly. When you do this, you want to relax. You relax all of the bolts, but you don't take any of them out. You do one at a time because you don't want that suffering to fall out. So you relax it, slide. What I did is I always relaxed it, let it down. I had a jack on the middle of the diff, really secure, three ton jack. I let them all out, let it down, put the C's in there, and put everything back up, and put it back, put the collars back in there. So pretty self-explanatory. Only thing, nothing's wrong there. I just would do it on a lift now, so it's just different with a trans jack. So they'll be there. Rear suffering spacers, new tie rod install. Again, self-explanatory right there. Tie rod install. I didn't do anything wrong. It was really short. I had a hammer because I didn't, it was hard to get the stuff off the head there. Screwdriver, remove the cotter pin, blah, blah, blah. Reverse stuff. No, everything is done. And they say right there in parentheses, go get an alignment. So go get alignment. I didn't go get alignment. I was just trying to be a smooth, cool guy, but I did alignment in I just self-aligned it. Actually, what I did is I did a kind of alignment on the base. It was kind of straight. I just backed the nuts off enough where I just took them off and put those things back on so they were in the same spot. That was it. All right, so VLSD shimming. There is pictures. There is pictures for this. So again, I want to wear this. I want to look at I just want to see where the pictures are at on this. Just kind of curious. Copy image address. Let's see where this is at. So it's a photo bucket. So photo bucket. All these pictures are photo bucket and image shack, which means if I pay that fee, which I'm not going to pay, I'll get all these images restored. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to migrate all the stuff, or probably pay somebody because I don't have time to do it anymore to get all the stuff migrated from here, from the club to the light coast thing to another thing. I want to keep this up, man, because I'm pretty sure if I had a counter on here, which I did have a counter, but it was by another site and you can't see. I mean, I probably can put this in some database and they tell you how many hits it get. But this thing is still obviously being used because it's still up. I did this back in 2000. It was like 2008 is when I started this deal right here, man. So this is crazy. So this is essentially this. I was kind of getting more like I was at the hobby shop now. I was on a lift. This is in Massawa base. This is around 2009, 2010. All right, so it's just going through the process of what I would do. So everything is standard here, how you take things apart. Now I got the actual tools. I had to grind a 14 down to get in between there because you have a little bit of space in between there. So now I got the actual thin proper tools. I put a breaker bar in between there. You can do that when you're by yourself. Just like don't lean in against anything and just break it apart. Or if you got a friend, which I didn't have too many friends in my same schedule, so you could have a friend sitting inside, pull your brake, undo it, or hold the brakes and undo it. So back then I had Hikers. This is the diff took down. Yeah, a lot of gear and stuff in there. So essentially what I did is I was trying to, again, I didn't have too much money still. And that's the hand is just Jesseville. And but he wasn't there to hold the brakes for me. So this is all standard and proper, got it apart. So essentially what you're doing is, I said, I was putting the shims in there, but it didn't really work, man. Something went wrong in there, and also when you put it back together, you're really squeezing it together. So I think I put the shims in there as a number. So I went to Nissan and ordered these shims, and the shim sizes. There's a part number and stuff like that. So I was getting kind of more detailed here, and the shims you put in there. Don't do this, man. I'll weld, take the diff, weld it. VLSDs can be welded, but I don't not recommend it. It's better to get like a stock one and a stock open and weld those because you can actually get to the gears and stuff like that. VLSD don't really do too well welded. Can do it, but I don't recommend it unless you got a really, really strong welder and you can weld everything. And also, like, look at the windows. You literally have to weld. You can weld all that crap together, weld through these little holes, but you still got this whole side right there. It's kind of sort of unlocked. because you're only welding everything on this side there. So it's kind of a thing. So again, I did everything proper, man. I put the shims there. I think I put the plus 2, which is like a 2-way. That thing lasted like one event and one like drifting and exploded, man. So I don't recommend it. It was a learning thing. It was learning. I learned some stuff there, but weld the diff or get it 1-way or 2-way. So it's kind of cool to have these pictures there to kind of see there. Again, you can go back there and read it for yourself. But I would just say overall, just don't shim it. Unless if you don't like your street stuff that's not abrasive, you can do it, but I just wouldn't do it. All right, so again, going back again, this one has pictures. Oh, so cool. This is the BR rev limiter. So again, on a K24, you didn't have it there, but this is I essentially just made this in MS Paint. This is my stuff, and I got this off of some website. So for RB25, blah blah blah. I mean, you know, wiring was one thing. Even when I was starting out, wiring, because I did computer repair, electronics. I was a computer guy, so wiring and making the RJ11, RJ45, that was what we did, man. So it was too easy. So wiring was always a thing, man. As you can see right here, car looked like shit, man, but my wiring was always from the beginning, man. My wiring was always good, man. So I take pride in that. I just take pride in my wiring, man, because that's what we did. So nothing was wrong with this other than it makes a lot of noise and stuff, man, but it just yeah. So the 33 sounded better than the K because the K was poorly tuned, so the timing was retarded, so it just sounded really laggy and stuff like that. But yeah, man, don't do it, man. Just, you know, you get some pops and bangs naturally as a result of some tuning you did. You put the ignition to a hard cut and stuff like that inside of Link, Heltec, or whatever you're using. You can get some little pops and bangs and like show off and stuff like that, man. But it's really hurting your engine, man. So unless you got the proper turbo, proper valves, you just constantly opening those valves and slamming them shut and doing damage to the turbo and just like degrading the engine, man. So rest in peace to the founder of Imanari-san. Rest in peace to the founder of BR. It was a cool device and everything back in the day, but computer tech has gotten a lot better, so just don't do that. All right, almost done here. So the final is drum brakes, and I mean, it still applies. I used to hate them, but yeah, just kind of going down there. Yeah, this is all standard stuff there. I was showing how to do brakes on there. Just make sure you keep accountability for your stuff. Make sure the springs go where they need to go, and you're good. I mean, it's really straightforward, but yeah, you know, everything was here. Everything I did here was proper. Nothing was done there. Don't reuse. I'll take it back. Don't reuse these. Get these brand new, because when you take them off, they bend, and it's just so cheap. You just want to make sure you got a nice fresh one in there, because if it gets warped, that pin will slide out and then you'll lose the functionality of it. So it is a dick pain when you first do it, because you got to hit it square on and pop it off. But actually, I just wasn't. It wasn't. No, it was used. I can see it. I bent it up. So yeah, I was just going through there. So nothing wrong here. Just make sure you use the right retainer pin, and you're good to go. All right, so again, guys, this was then a video I just want to do because I don't know how long it's going to be up there. I'm going to try to get this off of there. I used to do these back in the day. I used to do them like back in the day to help people out. So it's kind of cool, man. Like, I mean, drop a comment if you use these write-ups. Thank you guys for taking time out to watch this video. Hope it was enjoyable. Maybe a little bit long for some of you guys, but it's kind of going on memory lane. And yeah, see you guys later. Be sure to follow Pinku Style on all avenues at Pinku Style. For Instagram, it is at Pinku Style 2, because I lost control of posting on my first one because of some whatever stuff, man. So, yep, thank you guys for tuning in for the video. It's going to be Donnie sign off from Smile Japan. See you guys later. Peace.